So I am making cocoa brownies this morning. So I have melted 1 cup of butter because I'm making a 9 by 13 pan. If you want to make a 8 by 8, use half a cup of butter plus 2 tablespoons. So melt that, and to that I'm going to add 1 1/4 cups of sugar for an 8 by 8, 2 1/2 for a 9 by 13. So I'm just going to mix that. Once the butter and sugar have melted, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of cocoa for a small pan, 1 1/2 cup for a 9 by 13 pan, and I'm going to mix that in. To the cocoa mixture, once it cooled for a minute, I am going to beat in 2 eggs for a small pan, 4 eggs for a 9 by 13. Yikes. A little bit of a shell. We don't want a little bit of a shell in there. So I'm just going to beat that in. I'm using a wooden spoon. To this, I've been beating it in, but I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla for a small pan, 2 teaspoons for a 9 by 13, 1/4 cup of salt for a small pan, half a cup, yikes, half a teaspoon for a large pan, and I'm just going to beat it again. Now, half a cup of flour for a small pan, 1/4 cup of flour, half a cup of flour if you're making a 8 by 8, and 1 cup if you're making a 9 by 13. So then just mix that in. I remember growing up, like bars of melted cooking chocolate was not anything that I ever saw. We had cocoa when we had food. My mom used to use a teaspoon of cocoa, a bit of sugar, put in a little drop of milk and mix it into a paste, and then add a full cup of boiling water. And that made a nice hot cup of cocoa. She would make chocolate cake. Not too much with brownies. I think I started making brownies as a grown-up, but always used cocoa. So I tend to do a lot of baking with cocoa. So once that is mixed up, the very last thing is you can leave it like that. You don't have to put in anything, but I'm actually going to put in about 1.5 cups of pecans, because if you ever watch my videos, you know that I got pecans cheap at Sobeys, which is strange. But when Sobeys has their stuff on clearance, they want to clear it out and they put it like cheap. Yesterday I got different, what the heck is it called? Oh, the Diana sauce. They had that like for $2 off, I think. So it was $1 and change. So super cheap because they were clearing them out. So you can add nuts. You can add chocolate chips, or you don't have to add anything. Here is my 9 by 13 pan. So what I'm going to, it's going to go into a 325 oven for around a half hour. Just keep an eye on it towards the end. It should look a little bit crispy on the edges when it's finished. But once it's cooked, leave it in the pan for at least a half hour or so to let it set before you use your parchment paper, like how I have left some overlap so that I can use the parchment paper to take the entire thing out, and then I will cut it up. Take it into work today. It is my last day of the summer to work, so I thought, well, I'll bring them in some brownies. And these brownies, I am not going to put icing on them. It's totally up to you, but I'm just going to leave them as is. So that's the brownies. Into the oven they go. And here is the finished brownie. I am just going to let them cool in the pan. Like I said, I have let the parchment paper overlap. So once they're nice and cool, I can take them out and cut them into squares.